Jeez Louise, I'm destroying everything in the studio. Nothing's worse than changing your password. Now I forgot what my new password is. So I can't get into Gmail and bring this up. Yeah, that just happened. Way to go. Show prep failure. Fired. Send them to the break. What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday night. We're on here with Russ Explode Studios. We're going to be talking to Brandon with This Man Comics tonight. We're going to be talking about some cool stuff like Gallows Man and what his inspirations are. And the question I posed in the description: why the hell do people even get into comics? Well, we do it because it's fun, and it's escapism, and it's escapism for those who read it. What is going on, Thomas? How are you doing today? So we're gonna run through the sponsors real quick, and we're gonna get the shindig started. So we've got CV Zane and Michael Shoemaker with Outpost 426 Studios. Check out Into the Suck. What's going on, Grant? What's going on, buddy? Check out Into the Suck and Scorpiana, as well as Black Rabbit, hitting up the indie circuit. If you didn't get on those books, well, hit up CV Zane, and he can hook you up with those. We also have Naughty Fairies with That's all I can think about when I do that. Oh my god. Oh man, Steve Carell. We had Naughty Fairies with Miss Wendy Steenschneider. Check out Naughty Fairies on Etsy in the links above and get caught up on those 5 books. We have oh my god. 183 Degree Studios with Karen Nicole. Check out their Patreons. And check out, there's like a few days left on Indiegogo. You can get Black Hat Requiem as well as the, wow, I just had a brain fart. What is that called? Something frequent, unstable frequencies. There we go. Brain reconnect. Unstable frequencies. My brain's still on the. Oh man, I'm having fun. Can you tell? So yeah, check out Unstable Frequencies and Black Hat Requiem on Indiegogo if you missed out on that. And guys, go check out the Cosplay Craze with Karen Nicole. You get a 52 card pinup card deck as well as the comic on that project. There's only like a few days left. And we also have Doris Jones Labor of Love. Check out Doris Jones Labor of Love. You can find all of her beautiful paintings on there as well as her poetry books. You can purchase those from that website. The link is in the description as well for that. And check it out. We also have Codex Entertainment LLC with Luis Torres. Check out Ace of Starlet and Lily the Demoness, Nebula Pearl, and VRXOXO, which just funded on Kickstarter for the 2nd issue. And the 3rd issue will be launching soon. And Webster's and Necropolis is coming to Kickstarter here right quick. So get ready for that. It's number 4. So you have to get caught up if you missed out on the first ones. And last but not least, Russ Explode Studios charity auctions for CB4K. Hit up that page, hit the like button, hit the follow button, and check out all the great kids auctions that we do on here. We auction off really cool stuff like this lovely piece right here, and all proceeds go towards the kids. Helping send comic books, pop figurines, Pez dispensers, coloring books, and all kinds of great stuff to hospitals and cancer centers nationwide to help give kids hope and strength. And if you didn't back it already, go back, CatCat and Piggygirl. Unless you're a kid hater. Do we hate you too? No, just kidding. But no, really. Anyway, last but not least, we're going to bring out Brandon. What's going on, Brandon?
There we go. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to that blah, 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 blah book.
It's what you were supposed to start out with. You were supposed to be like,
yeah, do the Steve Carell.
Oh my God, Anchorman, priceless. Just put it up on the teleprompter. He'll read it verbatim. Oh man, I never seen the second one. I could never bring myself to do it. That's the bad thing about Hollywood, and most things is like they do a first one and it does really good. And they're like, oh my God, we never thought about doing a sequel because this was so stupid. We didn't think people would like it, but they love it. Let's do a second one, and they just like throw this half-ass script together. And they're like, hey, we'll pay you a bunch of money to come back because this first one really killed it. And then everybody goes and sees the second one. And they're like, what the? But like Ghostbusters Afterlife, I have to say. For once, I was actually very surprised. I enjoyed the movie. I really liked the fact that they did a throwback, to him since he passed away. Give me like 20 minutes for my brain to stop sizzling because I've had one heck of a disconnect day. But
I won't say too much, but I'm on a little bit of the opposite spectrum with Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Well, I mean, if you watch it, it's fun. It did its own thing. It wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't a direct sequel in my opinion.
Yeah,
there was a lot of stuff that was missing, but it was a nice way to tie up, his death and stuff.
yeah,
Harold Ramis. There we go. I
yeah, yeah.
told you it'd take me like 20 minutes or so. I would think of it. There's no smoke coming on, so we're good. Hold on, we can fix that. Oh shit, I'm on fire. Somebody get the fire extinguisher. So how you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
So we
Busy,
got.
but good.
Yeah, oh, man, I'm busy too, dude. I came home, changed the oil, and then I was like, oh man, we got to. Well, actually, I ate first, and then I was like, I better jump in the shower, get destinkified, so I can hit the sack after the show tonight. But I'm excited to have you on here. We had you on for Saturday for the Blastcast. We did a little bit of talking about Gallows Man, but tonight it's a one-on-one session, and we're gonna get to learn about you. We're gonna bring up Gallows Man whenever I figure out what my password is. So if I look distracted when I ask a question, it's me trying to, furiously figure out what is my password. The hackers probably have it, but I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
So, if anybody that's watching has hacked my account, please log in for me. It would be much appreciated. You can go back to doing whatever you were doing with it before. So I have to say that because it's funny. Every time I log into something, it's like, your password could have been compromised in the latest mail leak. And it's like, what the fuck? I just changed my password like 2 weeks ago. How many times you guys get hacked and this stuff get leaked though? Oh no, son. Now they know about all my crazy, porn subscription. No, really not. I just
All
have to
with
throw
the
that joke in.
password being password.
Yeah, yeah, or 123. What kind of idiot makes
Yeah,
a
yeah.
password 1234? I do have. I mean, I may have a subscription. I do have one of these handy towels sitting right here. I don't know where this came from. We did a project. That's right. It was just sitting here. It hasn't turned green yet, folks, like Stone's have. So we're good. So, all right. So let's talk about you, man. I like to start out at the beginning of it all. So,
Yeah.
so you got into comics. You wrote, Gallows Man. You got this book up on Kickstarter now. But where did the world of comics start with you? Like, when did you first buy a comic book? How did you get introduced to it? And what comic book was it?
It's kind of two separate things. Like there was one time where I was like 7 years old, went to a yard sale and bought a shoebox full of comics. It was various different comics, some Superman, some Batman. It was like 70s and 80s, and some various stuff. I don't remember specific issues, but I do remember enjoying that. But the very first comic I remember kind of buying was going to the mall. Remember the mall, everyone, back when the mall was a thing? Going to the mall and shopping
Do
for
tell us
clothes.
more. What is a mall?
Yes, this mystic area where people gathered. Crazy. People actually used to gather in places. But yeah, like pretty much went into like J.C. Penney or something like that and was back to school shopping for like elementary school or something.
Yeah.
And there was a Spider-Man shirt that was there, but I wasn't eyeing the Spider-Man shirt. What was attached to it was a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man #1. It was a reprint like that came with the actual shirt, and I wound up buying that shirt, not really for the shirt, mostly for the comic. And that was like the first comic I remember getting and like really reading and kind of what truly got me sucked into reading comics and eventually buying floppies and buying trades and that sort of stuff. But yeah, there's from there, I didn't get super sucked into it till like early high school. In early high school, that's when I was actually like seeking certain books, like seeking like at the time like New 52 Batman, various stuff like that. Like I like Marvel and DC, but I've always been, in terms of comics, I've liked DC a little bit more. And yeah, stuff like the New 52
Does
Batman.
this lead into the story of like when you got bumped on the head as a kid? No, I'm just kidding. It's a DC joke. All right.
Yeah.
You like
Yeah,
DC?
no.
You like DC up until the New 52, right?
Yeah. Well, DC even today has some good stuff. You just have to search for it. You got to dig for it.
Yeah.
You can kind of say the same with Marvel, but like the comics, movies are different. I will full on acknowledge and say that Marvel's movies are way better than DC's movies. But yeah, I think DC Comics really got me into it with New 52 Batman, stuff like this is weird that this was one of my first comics, Identity Crisis by Brian Meltzer, because that one is like, yes, I was like in 9th grade, but it is kind of like a heavy comic because like Sue Dibney, Elastic Man, or Elongated Man, his wife gets like raped and killed in that comic. And it's like very heavy stuff, especially if you're like, oh yeah, oh boy, I just like superheroes. And then you read that, it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how
I didn't realize they were
get.
this graphic. Whoa.
Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of like my start, and then just going from there, just getting a passion or loving not just DC but Marvel as well as all the indie publishers and stuff, and then jumping into stuff like Image or Boom Studios, then branched me even further into like the indie stuff, like the Kickstarter indie type comics, and I've just kind of been like sucked in it from there. And I think it was like a comic convention I was at. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. Seeing an indie creator there and talking with them kind of helped spark and helped me realize like, hey, like maybe I should give this a try. Maybe I should give this a shot at least. See how that goes. That's kind of what started that, like that little spark there, because I loved writing screenplays, but meeting with that indie creator really what sparked me wanting to kind of write indie comics and also get some of those screenplays I wrote and maybe convert them into indie comics. That's basically the origin of me loving comics, kind of.
We're in. So then that's awesome. So I mean, that I love that you come out and oh, sorry, it's asking me a security question. I love that you know that's one of the big things that caused the indie boom last year. So, you know, there was. Sorry, it's sending me two-step verification, so we can get this comic pulled up and show off some of the pages from it. So no, that was one of the things that caused the big, you know, indie boom last year was because, you know, Marvel and DC quit producing, and people were like, "Oh no, what are we gonna read now?" And then it was all of a sudden it was like, "Oh man, there's indie comics," and so people started picking them up, and then they're like, "Oh wow, you know, these are really good compared to what Marvel and DC have been pumping out. Let me check out what there is that's available." And then they discovered Kickstarter, and then it just, you know, it all went downhill after that. You know, 600 projects and $1 million later. There's so much stuff on Kickstarter. Like there's stuff that appeals to everybody, and that's what's awesome about it. Like, you know, a lot of the problem with the new Marvel and the DC books current from the big two is they try to please what's good now. Like what the word am I looking for?
Well, I'll say this: DC does struggle with that. Some Marvel has been doing this since Civil War, like the comic Civil War, where they are just going for that news. They want to be put in the New York Times, or they want to make news buzz. That's what Marvel is constantly trying to do, and it all pretty much started with Civil War back in the mid 2000s, and then just every year they're just trying to be in those articles and stuff.
Well, it's all about what's the fad now. What can we cash in on? Oh, well, you know, now, like, I wouldn't, like, I don't mean this in any bad way at all. So nobody be, like, all freak out about this. But, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they do something on the whole Roe versus Wade thing. Like, a comic book's going to come out and talk about abortion now. Just because it's current, and people will go buy it just to see what they said about it.
Yeah.
And it's like it sells copies, and it just might mention Roe versus Wade in there. But somebody else, you know, whisper it out there to the people to get people, you know, psyched about this book and go get it because they want to burn Marvel to the ground or they want to praise them for what they did. And that's just going to be like, oh, there's the Roe versus Wade thing in the Supreme Court right now. And then they'll be like, oh, that was, you know, a big disappointment. But that's what it is. They go after the fad and what sells. And indie comic creators go after their passions, what they love. You know, I love sci-fi stories. I wrote a sci-fi story. You know, I love, you know, helping kids. I wrote a kids book. And so I did all these things because that's what I love to do. I didn't do it just because, oh man, kids books are big money. Because let me tell you, folks, they're not. And you know, it's absolutely incredible how well CatCat and Piggygirl is doing, and the outcry for it. And I'm thankful for that, because I see so many projects go up and fail, and I'm like, do I really want to try to do this? You know, and I did, and I'm glad it's gone the way that it has. But it's like that for several other things. You know, there's just a small niche of people that like that kind of stuff, but you really got to find it. And then once you do, you know, then your comic starts doing well. And so you've already done Gallows Man #1, and this is Gallows Man #2 that's up right now.
Yeah.
And you can get both on the Kickstarter. There's also some limited edition stuff on there, like you've got a metal cover, right?
Yeah. There's like a metal cover variant. It's signed by me. I wrote and created the Gallows Man. I didn't do the art for it. Helen Bolton is the artist for it. She does an amazing job. But you can get that metal cover. You get, which is super limited, like extremely limited. There's not going to be more than 25 of these ever made. So if you're that collector out there, this is going to be the rarest copy of issue 1 of Gallows Man you'll ever see. Unless somehow one day I'm like, hey, I'll do a sketch cover and I do a stick figure of Gallows Man or whatever, because I can't draw.
I would do the same, man. I could, you know, I got it. We could do a jam piece. You do half a stick figure, and I'll do half a stick figure on the other side. And then it's even more limited because you got 2 really crappy artists drawing 1 stick figure, and it's just a jam piece. It's gonna be awesome. We'll limit it to like 5 copies. It's something honest. So Gallows Man is actually, you know, that was one of the things, you know, I wanted to touch back on. So you talked about, you know, you got really big into screenplays, and that's how the Gallows Man started out, was as a screenplay, correct?
Yeah. I wrote a decent bit of like horror screenplays. I started out with like horror scripts, like short horror scripts, like those like little anthology type stuff, like a short horror script, and then it just expanded to from there whenever I was writing like feature length horror scripts, and then eventually I was writing some other stuff, some sci-fi stuff, and then eventually it did like superhero stuff pulled at me with the Gallows Man. And I was at the time, whenever I was planning on writing it, this was like months before Infinity War came out, so this is like when the superhero stuff was the biggest ever. And so I was like, okay, I want to do a superhero thing, but I want to do something as unique as I can with it, just so it does stand out a little bit, at least story-wise and maybe art-wise. And so that's kind of how the Gallows Man started rolling, was me wanting to do a superhero book in a time where superhero books are very saturated. Some could say oversaturating the market. But I just really wanted to do a unique take that like hasn't really been seen, or at least just bring back like the funness of like some books, because I like Marvel and DC, but the past 10 to 15 years, most of the books are very serious or they're very dark, which they're good. I mean, one of my favorite books recently is Tom King's Mr. Miracle. I love that book. But there has been like a missing where you have to dig into indie comics to find, which is those fun books, especially those just like fun, non-child superhero books. Because a lot of times if you want to get a fun superhero book nowadays, you have to go to the all ages section, basically. And so I kind of wanted to try this thing that was a little bit different. Your mic is muted.
For fuck's sake. All right, I'm back. Oh yeah, I muted it because I was taking a drag. I don't want to blow everybody's eardrums out. So let's do something fun. Let's do something really fun. Like let's do a live reading.
Okay.
And you can be Gallows Man. So since this is a screenplay, I had this brilliant idea that just cooked up in my head. Since this is a screenplay, you can play Gallows Man, and I will play the walrus.
Okay. I got you.
So here we go. We got The Gallows Man, written by Brandon Ingram, art by Helen Bolton, cover by Thomas Tikas. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Tikas.
And Rick Alves, variant cover. So this is number 1, folks, to give you a little bit of a taste of the book. And I'll do like the radio voice over here. Nazis, you scum, feel despair, for the Gallows Man is everywhere. There we go. So you got the Walrus Man running. He's got his little Nazi patch on. And see, guys, this book. All right, before we get into this book, it was something I touched on Saturday. This is a fun book. So it is kind of Batman-ish, like from the original Batman live action show. There's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, the Adam West show. Yeah.
Yeah, the Adam West show. But it has a darker take to it because there is some blood and gore in it. But it's fun, it's campy, and there's just spots where they just joke and like they just say the corniest jokes and you laugh at it and you're like, why the hell did I just laugh at that? And then you're like, well, that is funny, and then you roll on. So this is kind of fun. So I want you guys to stick around. Guys, if you're watching, please share this out because we're going to do a fun screenplay of this. It's not often you get to see that on here unless hold on. I got to put the wig on. We're doing Blue Balls reviews. We're doing the whole reading thing. Got to put the wig on because I am now. All right, guys. Harry Sachs is here. We're going to do some Blue Ball. Hold on. We got a piece of paper here. Get out of here. All right. Now it's officially Blue Balls Reviews. We got Harry Sachs here live to do some voices for y'all. So you see the wig when you're scrolling through, you know shit's about to go down, people. So you better join in. Share this bitch out. All right, here we go. Eat lead, Shadow Man. Jacko, prepare the walrus mobile. We're getting out of here. There, we'll do the gun sounds too. Jacko, do you hear me? Jacko? Creak.
It's a choking noise, I guess.
Jacko! Oof.
Hold on, it's still loading for me.
Oh, you're good.
Looks like you're at the end of your rope, walrus.
That's where you're wrong, Swallows Man. Click. Ruh-roh.
It's Gallows Man. Pow.
Click. Oh shit! We forgot about Newsboy. Son of a biscuit.
I'll do Newsboy as well, I guess.
All right, do it. Take it away.
Yes. Great work, Newsboy. You stopped that dastardly walrus and his evil henchman Jackal with the noose traps, Tia. Golly gee, Gallows Man, thanks. Let's go back to the guillotine and celebrate this triumphant victory. Hey, Gallows Man. Yes, Newsboy? I bet when Jackal asked Walrus to come hang out, this wasn't what he had in mind. Ha ha ha. It sure wasn't, Newsboy. It sure wasn't.
There it is, folks. Cheesy jokes. The Gallows Man. I'm telling you, Chet, the city has never been this great. It seems everyone is in full support of this city's masked superheroes, especially the Gallows Man. And I'm right there with him, especially when it comes to taking out those no-good, dirty Nazis coming in on our turf. And it brings me such joy to hear the Gallows Man and Newsboy thwarted the adventures of the dastardly walrus and his vile henchman, the Jackal, tonight. Officials say that both Walrus and the Jackal were sporting Nazi armbands. Those Nazi scum, here's what I have to say to them and the Nazi cowards that are still out there in our streets. The message I give each and every night here on the Town City Broadcasting Network: Nazis, you scum, feel despair, for the Gallows Man is everywhere.
Smash.
Meanwhile, at the guillotine. Click. I do apologize for my tardiness, Master Jamie. The wait at the deli was rather extensive. There you go. That's you.
Hold on, that's still loading for me.
Yeah, I got you. It's being a little slow.
No worries, Bertwald. We'll come eat soon. We were just discussing the Gallows Man and Newsboy's triumphant victory tonight.
I heard about it on the way here. The Gallows Man and Newsboy thwart the ventures of the dastardly Walrus and his vile henchman, the Jackal. It's plastered all over the radio.
This victory couldn't be possible without old Noosey over here. And with the Walrus and the Jackal's recent troubles with those newly designed noose traps, TM, it was good to see that they're still hanging in there.
Good one, sir.
Oh, wait, hold on. I'll see. Okay. So, you're saying they were Nazis? Precisely. They had swan sticker patches on their arms. Do you want to do the old button?
Shit. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're
Nope.
good.
Nope.
You're good,
You gotta
you're good.
reload. You gotta reload voices on mic 2 over here.
Oh, I gotcha.
Swan sticker patches?
That's what Gallows Man told me they were. I don't know who in their group thought that looked like a swan, not swan sticker patch, swastika patch. Oh. So who could they have been working for? The hunter? No, the hunter wouldn't have been able to order those two around. I fear it's a much greater threat. You don't mean? I'm afraid so. We'll need to find the frog. Last I heard, he still hangs out over in the far side alley. He was the last to see him. See who, Gallows Man? I never thought I would cross paths with him again. Who is he, Gallows Man? The man who took everything away from me. It's been so long, but not a day goes by where I don't think about that night. Gallows Man? That night. The year was 1941. Oh.
And that's it, folks. You gotta go on back it now to find out the rest. All right.
Yes.
Blue Balls Reviews is over. I hope that screenplay was enjoyable for all you guys watching. It's a lot of fun to do those from time to time. But yeah, it goes into the backstory of what happened to Gallows Man and on that fateful night. And guys, there's 56 pages. We just did 14 pages there. So for the amount that you're paying for these books, you're getting a large quantity story in book 1. You're getting a large quantity story in book 2 for what you're going to be paying for these books. And you guys got some of the campiness. You got some of the humor. One of the things, I'm going to take this out for a second because I don't want you guys to see everything, but I'm going to take you to one of the more brutal scenes here to show you what I mean by gore, in case you're wondering and you're wanting to buy it for your kids or something. I will load that in there. So let's go back to chatting for a little bit here. So what exactly what was the moment that sparked going, I'm going to take this from a screenplay to a comic book? Because you talked about, you really wanted to do a superhero book, but what sparked the idea in your mind to start with Gallows Man?
Well, it kind of piggybacked off of me having made a few horror comics. Like, eventually those will see the light of day, but having done that and having a couple of those short stories done with Helen, the artist of the Gallows Man, kind of led into me eventually looking at the screenplay for Gallows Man and being like, oh, I'm making like these comics. Like, I could edit this screenplay. And like convert it into a comic. And like, it took me some time, but surprisingly, as I was going through it, narratively, nothing changed. Like narrative wise, it stayed the same. And I was going through and I was like, oh, boom, that's where issue 1 can end. Boom, that's where issue 2 can end. And eventually I thought of like, oh, it'll be a 4-issue miniseries. It'll be big, like over double-sized issues. But it was like, boom, boom, boom. Oh, this is like perfect. And I eventually contacted Helen and I was like, hey, like, you've put up with my crap and the stupid stuff I've got you to draw and stuff. Would you possibly like look at some of the script? Would you consider doing this book? I would like to hire you for this book. And she looked through it, and I hired her to do some concept art and stuff, concepts of characters and different stuff. I was like, I really like what you can do here. Because I knew she was adaptive, but this is how adaptive she was. Whenever I first found her, I got her to do a horror story that was in Dr. Seuss-esque art style. It was Dr. Seuss art style, basically. And so then she did another story. It was different art style. I was like, this is what I'm kind of looking for, this type of art style. And she sends back those concept pages and stuff. I was like, oh, crap. Like, yes, will you please do this book? I'd love to hire you, because I realized how adaptive she was once I saw the Gallows Man after all that. And from there, it just kicked off. And we started working on the comic itself back in some part of 2020. I think it was early 2020, like January or something.
So there we go. We've got it up there. Yes, this guy gets his head bashed in with the swastika. It's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, guys, yeah, you gotta trust me on why this is funny. When you hear and you think aloud in your head the way that this guy talks, you're gonna die laughing when it gets to this point, because it's just yeah. I won't ruin anything else. Just this guy's his slur, his whatever you want to call what it is.
Yeah. That guy
It's
Major
hilarious.
Swastika, if you're trying to think of like how it should sound as you're reading it, how I had it as I was writing it was like, it's a German Nazi speaking, but he's speaking English, so he has that like thick, like German accent, but he has like a Elmer Fudd speech impediment, or like the wabbit or wascally wabbit, like
No,
he has that.
Dude, I was dying the whole time reading that, and then like when he smashes the guy's head in, I just laugh, because it's like, I'm like, how did this guy get to be such a fearful magnitude? Because like I would not last 2 seconds. This guy would do what he did to the guy in a previous panel. Again, won't do any spoilers here, folks. But what he does to a guy in a previous panel is just downright brutal. And it's insanely crazy that these people follow this guy, and that's what makes it so funny, because he's got this, like you said, he's got this speech impediment, and then he's got the accent on top of it that's really thick, and so it sends it over the top.
And the teeniest tiny thing, just to help with, I guess, a tiny bit of context for people who saw that, like, this guy is obsessed with swastikas. So anytime you see him like that, he's holding this like big swastika sculpture type thing. He has this insane obsession with swastikas. He has his little Nazi cult, and that's his thing basically.
Well, I mean, he is Swastika Man, so
yeah.
Why would he be called Swastika Man unless he was like obsessed with swastikas? I mean, look, you got Batman. He's dressed as a freaking bat, people, and he throws batarangs. And he's got the Batmobile and the Bat Grapple. Like, everything's bat. So, of course, the Swastika Man's going to have swastikas. And this does take place during, like, in older times. This isn't like a current book. This does take place in, I believe it was the 60s.
Well, it actually takes place in the 1940s.
That's right, 40s. I'm sorry.
I have to look back at the original screenplay. I can't remember if it's during World War II or after. I think I had it set after, and this is like a branch of Nazis who are. This is almost like how Hydra was with Nazis. How like Red Skull was kind of a branch away, and Hydra was kind of a branch away. Major Swastika's thing is kind of like that. He's like this Red Skull
His own
entity,
unit.
kind of, where he's like running this weird like Nazi swastika cult basically, and they got to take him out basically.
So now let me ask you this. So this is a burning question that I have. So what do you ever think about possibly, you know, in one of the next Kickstarters, you said it's going to be broken down into 4 books, correct?
Yeah.
So you got 2 books left after this one to finish out the series. So have you ever thought about including like a tier with like a reprint of your actual screenplay with the script?
That's not a bad idea.
I think it would be really cool. I think it'd be really cool because here's the words that I heard that I loved, like that, you know, that just like I stop on while you're talking is I heard concept art, script, preliminaries.
Yeah.
And that would be really cool to take the concept art from 1, 2, 3, and 4 and take your script and take all of that and put that together and spiral bound it and make like, you know, 1, 2, 3 copies to put on your final Kickstarter. That way, you know, somebody has something that like, you know, that's really likes your story. Like I like the story. I loved it. I thought it was really good, folks. I'm not gonna, you know, so here we'll do the official Blue Balls review here. Hold on, folks. I gotta find it because I've added so many new images to here. I know it's still here. I wouldn't get rid of my Blue Balls. Nope, that's the wrong one. Here we go. It gets 5 exploding blue balls because it was funny, you know. It reminded me of some of the old cartoons and stuff that we used to read, some of the old comic strips that we used to read as kids. Like this shit was like pretty much uncensored. Like you could pick up a comic, like you said, there was the whole thing with the like the rape scene in one of the comic books that you read. Well, everything today is like really PC and like we said earlier, it's about a fad, you know. And I don't mean this in a degrading way, but you know, it's like they did the LBGTQ Marvel cover just for the sake of doing it. It wasn't because they cared or that. They do all this stuff just because they know these people are going to buy it because it's something that they're going to frame and put up and be like, oh, we've made milestone here. And not to take away from that group. I don't believe in, you know, doing something just because it's a fad. Because my thing is, you know, like when you write Gallows Man, when you did the screenplay, you wanted it to be something that was lasting. You wanted it to be something that was evergreen. You know, just like when I wrote this book, I wanted it to be evergreen. I want it, you know, it to be like Lord of the Rings, you know, 60 years after I die, somebody's going to be like, man, these books are badass. I want to make a movie on this. You know, that's what I want. Something that's going to stay current, not something that I'm just going to write on a fad, make a bunch of money and be like, ha ha ha, and then the book dies off. No,
and not to be,
yeah,
not to be super cynical, but like those big corporations that at the end of the day, the reason they're doing that stuff is they're just trying to get money. Like, some of the creatives that are writing it, yes, they may actually have a stance and actually care about that thing. But the executives who look down is like, hey, let's do this. They're just wanting to rake in more money.
Cash cow. Yeah. It's a cash cow. And that's what it is. And you know, so I loved it because it took me back to the old day in comics when I would just go buy a comic and I'd have no idea what I was getting myself into. And at first I was really iffy. You know, I was kind of like, Walrus Man, you know, that's kind of funny. And I was like, you know, I was on the fence. I liked the premise. I liked, you know, the old style. But then it got into like the blood and gore. And I was like, oh, yeah, all right, now this is getting kind of fun. Like we went from slapstick humor, you know, real corny, you know, jokes and, you know, these guys.
We're slowly transitioning into.
And then like all of a sudden, it's like, I remember that fateful night. And then he's like, no, Mr. Sparkles.
Yeah.
And here comes the giant swastika raining down. And it's like, whoa, this did a total 180. And so that's what was fun about it. So not only did you switch up, you know, the time period, so it starts out current day and it goes back and he remembers, you know, and tells them about that fateful night. And it transitions into like the more like gory, campy, stuff, and then you know, then it kind of transitions back, and something that kind of switches up gradually throughout the comic. So I like it because since it is, excuse me, since it is a 56-page comic, that's something that's hard to do is to keep the reader interested in the story. I mean, you got 56 pages. You know, it's sometimes a 24-page comic. There's so much, you know, so many words in it that you're just like, oh God, is this comic ever going to end? And so it wasn't real wordy. It was fun, and you switched it up throughout the book. And that's why I love, having people on and they give me like an advanced copy, because it gives me a little bit of insight of what I'm talking about. Like, I hate like being like, well, from what I've seen, it looks really good, and then you get it, you're like, oh my god, I told people to buy this book. But like, this one, I can truly say I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed reading. I look forward, to getting book 1 and getting book 2, and reading book 2 and doing a review on it right before book 3 launches. So you'll have to let me know before book 3 launches. I'll do a Blue Balls reviews on it. And I'll link back this video when we did our cool little screenplay reading of it, and people can go back and check that out. But no, I mean, I seriously had fun with it, and I really seriously think you should consider doing something like that later on. It was just something I thought of while we were talking.
I like that idea, because I haven't thought about that. I thought of like taking like snippets, and if I ever do a trade one day, putting it in there. But I like your idea a lot better of like, with that last issue, having like that bound book of like the behind the scenes,
having a spiral bound proof copy.
I really like that idea.
I think it would be really cool, because you can do like a hardcover trade, and then you can offer up that spiral bound proof copy. And you would have your concept art, you'd have some of the doodles, the sketches, the script, and those are fun things. Something that Hazzum does. I've got the Roadkill Rampage and the Pitter Patter 2 proof, and it's spiral bound, and I have so much fun going through there and reading the little notes underneath the art. Because it might be an artist page that the artist sends over to you to approve, and then you write notes on it and send it back. Well, I have that. I have the notes that the artist got.
That's
and,
awesome.
Them striking out what they got from the letter, being like, oh, it sounded so much better in the script, but now that I see it on page, this is stupid. Let's change this to that. And it's really cool getting to see that process, because it's like a proof of concept. It's like, here's where it started, this is where it ended, and this is all the stuff in between. We don't ever get to see that. And so to include something like that for all 4 issues at the end, and just be like, hey, there's 5 copies of this available, they're signed, they're limited edition, I think it'd be a really cool idea. And they're not super, expensive to make at all. So I think that would be
I like
good
that.
on the back burner.
So
let's change gears again. I popped that link in there for you guys in the comments. You can go check out the project there. Go back and show it some love. Share it out. It starts with stick figures. That's right. Absolutely. It always starts with stick figures. See, Ed's never going to let me live it down. So, short story. I tasked him with doing a commission on a Vampirella blank sketch for me on a blank cover. And he's like, well, what are you wanting? And so I'm describing it to him. And I was like, I'll just draw it for you. So like literally, I don't have it anymore. When he popped on and said stick figures, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? His ears must have been burning. He heard the word stick figures was getting ready to be used, and he dove in feet first. and so I sent him this stick figure drawing, because what I wanted was, like, I drew like stick figure trees in the background, and I drew like a hump for a mountain. I drew the sun with the little squiggly lines around it, and then I had like a stick figure standing over a stick figure laying on a rock, and it was like that was the scene that I had laid out in my head. But I'm a really shitty artist, and it was like literally Vampirella standing over Dracula with his heart in her hand and his chest ripped out, as the sun was rising and the rays were hitting his body, and he was slowly starting to burn away. I just thought that was a really cool scene, because they're like mortal enemies. And then I see shit like this, where like Dynamite's like, Dracula and Vampirella get married. I'm like, what? What are you talking about here? But I sent him that. He sent it back to me. He's like, will you sign this? And he I'm pretty sure he literally printed it out and hung it on his wall. So he has the signed stick figure art on his wall. I loaded it in here a while back because everybody kept asking about what it was. And so I finally showed off the slab and showed off the art. But unfortunately, StreamYard only allows you to keep 100 images, and I've had to add so much. I deleted some of the older stuff. So you know what? You know what you deserve, Ed? You deserve these nuts. So I had to take a picture of it, because I literally ate the last donut and wrote that on there and left it for my wife. So when she got up in the morning and she went to go get a donut, that was the last thing that she seen before she opened up an empty box. I'm terrible like that. I love playing jokes. I mean, that's just me. And and you know, she knows I love her because, you know, if I don't make fun of you and give you a hard time, then I must not like you because I give everybody a hard time. Better leave her alone over there. Sorry, my male cat's beating up my female cat again.
Oh, gotcha.
And he like holds her down and hurts her. So switching gears, what were some of like the cartoons and like some of the like what are some of your favorite like TV shows and movies and stuff that you like to watch?
Growing up, I was really into like a lot of like Cartoon Network cartoons. I'm 24, so like I didn't grow up watching like the original Transformers show or Gargoyles or Voltron or any of that stuff. I didn't grow up watching that stuff. So for me, I was watching like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Samurai Jack. Like those were some of my favorites. Courage the Cowardly Dog, which I think is like one of the best horror shows for children. That's the thing, is like children, you can watch Courage and there's like some like, even looking at it now as an adult, like some very disturbing stuff in there. Like there's one scene where it's like this is 2002 or whatever, so CGI is it's iffy. There's like a unborn fetus like CGI'd, and it like looks at Courage, and I'm trying to remember what it says. It's like, you're not well, or you don't exist, or it says something like that. It's the creepiest thing ever. But that's just like some example of how like that horror got introduced to me even early on in childhood. But yeah, like nowadays, some of my three favorite movies, and this is liable to change. It can change. My three favorite movies are The Dark Knight, Whiplash, and The Matrix. Those are my three favorite movies. I love movies in general. Like I love everything Quentin Tarantino does. I really like going to see a Christopher Nolan movie. Lately, I've noticed whenever he's doing a movie, he's not the best at sound design or sound mixing, because I go back to watch some of the older movies and can't understand some of the stuff people are saying because stuff is too loud in it.
Well, can I ask you, have you ever seen Nobody with Bob Odenkirk?
Yes. Yeah. That was really cool. I like that.
That reminded me a lot of your comic book.
Oh, yeah.
Because the movie starts out like, so like, to go into it, like, so for anybody that's seen Nobody, and then like now we're going to connect the two together here. So like Nobody starts out, it's like, it's a nice family. And you're like, okay, what, you know, I don't understand where this movie's going. What the fuck are we talking about here? Like, they're just, you know, normal family. And like, you know, it starts out, he's in the police station, and like a cat comes out of his shirt, and you're like, what the fuck? And he pulls out like a can of tuna, opens it for the cat, and you're just like,
Yeah.
You start out like the first 5 seconds, you're like, I have no fucking clue what's going on right now.
Yeah, it's like, just this Family Guy kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like Nobody pops up on the screen, and it just goes in this normal family life. And then like all of a sudden he's on the bus just beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
And like breaking their freaking windpipe and then giving them a trach. And it's just like, holy shit, this just went sideways real quick.
And that's when
Gallows Man is. That's
yeah,
what
thank you.
Gallows Man is, because you're like, you started out and you're like, what the fuck? You know, you got this walrus dude, and like both of the main villains, like at that time, at that point in the book, die right there. Like you guys just seen it live, like they're dead. Like, so I'm like, what the fuck is the rest of the book gonna be about? He just killed Walrus Man, and then it goes on, and then it, you know, it goes into where we stopped, and then there's Swastika Man, and then it just goes straight into like, I'm gonna bash this dude's head in. It's like, what the fuck? So it reminded me a lot of Nobody.
There. Yeah, I never thought.
Yeah, it was a huge shift. Sorry about that. I forgot to silence my phone. Blowing up over here. So yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with that. So Matrix, going back to that, original or the new one? Original.
The original. Yeah, the fourth one that came out like a few months ago was a huge disappointment for me. But then like I get the whole meta commentary of like, yes, Warner Brothers, they're the whole video game thing. Warner Brothers is going to make this video game with or without you. Kind of commenting on the Wachowskis, like, we're going to make this movie with or without you. So they're like, okay, we'll make it, but we're going to be super cynical and super meta with how we make it. So yeah, there's like some artistry with that, but at the end of the day, it's like, that doesn't make a good movie though. Like, you can have that. That's okay. It's your middle finger to Warner Brothers. But at the end of the day, it's still like,
Well, so like going back to what I said earlier, I never brought myself to see like Anchorman 2. Have a good night, Ed. Thanks a lot for stopping in, buddy. So like Anchorman 2, the sequel, I never seen that. I never watched the Matrix sequel, even though it was free on HBO. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I never watched what was the other one? There was another sequel.
Reloaded and Resurrections.
No, those I've seen those, but I mean another movie that they came out with a sequel to, and I still haven't brought myself to watch. Oh, Bill and Ted. I haven't watched the third one. Like Bill and Ted 1 and 2, like I seen those like 16,000 times as a kid. I loved watching those. Those were great, fun movies. Love Bill and Ted. And I don't know. I hear somebody says it's good, and then I start thinking about watching it, and then I hear somebody say it's bad, and I'm like, yep, going back to not watching it again. And I just can't. I just can't bring myself to do it. I can't. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm over this. And so I don't know, man. I seen somebody watching it, and it was like midway through the movie, and it just looked totally boring. I was just like, I'm not enthralled. Like, I want to see like Bullet Time and Agent Smith kicking ass. Like Agent Smith like was backed up on a USB drive on some rogue drone, and they brought him back and then like multiplied him. So it's like the T-1000 army of Agent Smiths, and they're coming after freaking Keanu, and I just want to see this all out like battle. It's like 300, only it's like 300 Smiths versus Neo. But,
and then with this Smith, like, it was Smith just with like a new paint skin. Basically, he's a different. He looks different, but he is Agent Smith. But he doesn't act like Agent Smith. He doesn't talk like Agent Smith. So it's like this isn't Agent Smith. With Morpheus,
you got more than a new
sense.
skin job. You got a whole new overworld.
Because with Morpheus, it makes sense because it's not the original Morpheus. It's to not go into full detail, it's a creation that Neo made. It was like a program that Neo made of Morpheus, but it's not truly Morpheus because it's this program that Neo programmed. So it's okay if he acts a little bit different because at the end of the day, that's not the exact Morpheus. That's
the one that Neo created.
Neo programmed, though. Yeah. So
it's supposed to be Smith, but it's not Smith because he doesn't.
Yeah, because I'm okay with the Morpheus thing because of that explanation, but the Smith thing, I'm like, he's not acting like Smith, but he is Smith. I don't know.
Again, we just go back to the thing of, the Wachowski brothers ran out of money that they had been, surfing on off the Matrix trilogy for so long, and they're like, hey, let's make a fourth one and see if people are still interested. They're going to go watch it. And they're like, haha, suckers.
Well,
I mean, honestly, that's probably what it was.
Well, the movie itself is like super like meta, like very meta, extremely meta. And it's interesting at sometimes, but the movie kind of hints at and tells you how and why this movie was made. Because in this new Matrix, there's a series of video games called The Matrix, and Neo made these video games and all this stuff. Neo got reprogrammed, so that's why this whole it's the reboot to the Matrix. Like the Matrix itself has been rebooted, Neo has been rebooted, all that. And in this, Neo has created this huge successful video game series called The Matrix, and it's basically the first 3 movies. And so, like the executive that Neo works for, the game company, is like, look, we're going to make Matrix 4 with or without you. We're going to make Matrix 4 the video game with or without you. So you can either be on board or not. And so that has to be exactly what happened to the Wachowskis. Was Warner Brothers approached them and was like, look, The Matrix, it's been almost 20 years. Nostalgia is huge. We have all these movies that are coming out nowadays that are sequels or reboots or requels from movies 20, 30 years ago. We're going to do the same with The Matrix. You can either join us or not. Either way, this is being made. And so I guess only one of the Wachowskis came back for this. They were kind of like, I'll come back, but I'm going to make this a middle finger to you, Warner Brothers. That's what it felt like.
That's great. So we're coming up on an hour. I should stop it. I like having 3 toddlers. We're coming up on an hour. I want to give you a chance to let people know where they can find you, and also tell them I want that elevator pitch. Tell them why they should get the Gallows Man. I'm gonna pop that link in there and take it away.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So with me, you can keep up to date of the things I'm working on, such as the Gallows Man and various other projects that will eventually come out. You can check me out, Dismay Comics. That's Dismay Comics on Facebook and Instagram. I have to spell out Dismay because it almost sounds like a very southern way of saying Disney, like the mouse company. So Dismay Comics, not the Mouse Corporation. And you can also go to the Kickstarter right now. It's live right now. We're working towards our first stretch goal. I haven't checked it in the past couple of hours, but at the time I did check it, we're $60 away, just $60 away from reaching that first stretch goal, where we'll unlock some awesome Newsboy bookmarks. This is an example of the first Kickstarter's bookmark as Gallows Man. And he has a friendly little PSA saying, remember, kids, reading is power. And that's a little funny because whenever you read the book, you realize Gallows Man is a little bit psycho. But he's doing these PSA for kids. So yeah, we got a Newsboy version of that, which is also very good. And that's the stretch goal. But with this Kickstarter, there are reward tiers ranging from $1 to $70. There's something within everyone's budget. If you can get issue 2, if you've already read issue 1, you can get both issues 1 and 2. There's catch-up reward tiers. And like we talked about earlier, for those collectors out there.
What about mustard?
Mustard? You say what about mustard? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is weird, but whenever I was first writing out that Kickstarter reward tier, I typed out and instantly erased it. I was like, ketchup and rub her buns tier. And I was like, no, erase that. Can't do ketchup and rubber buns tier. The elementary school joke.
Hey, yeah. You know what? Hey, listen. At the heart of the Kickstarter, people, there's corny jokes. So I had to throw that in there. It keeps
I love that. That got me. But yeah, so that metal cover variant, it's super rare. I'm not going to make more than 25 of these ever. So it's going to be the rarest issue of the Gallows Man #1 that you can ever get. And that also has a bunch of other stuff included with that. It's not just the metal variant cover, tons of extra stuff with that. But ultimately, if you're not sold on this yet, go to that Kickstarter, look through the Kickstarter, the campaign page. I have 14 preview pages, 7 preview pages from issue 1, and then 7 preview pages from issue 2. Check those out. If you get a little chuckle or you enjoy it or whatever it may be, back the Kickstarter. I think you'll really like it if you've liked anything that we've talked about or that you've seen through that. But yeah, ultimately, 1940s satirical and over-the-top world of superheroes, and you have the Gallows Man and his band of teammates such as Newsboy and Bertwald the Butler. They are trying to stop this Nazi threat that has infiltrated their city, led by Major Swastika, the guy you saw earlier. And they're trying to stop him from infiltrating the city, not only to save the city, but also to avenge the Gallows Man's former mentor. And you've probably seen through what we've talked about so far, but tonally, best way to describe it, 1960s Batman show, throw in the 60s Batman show, the fun campiness of it, and then throw in like some Tarantino movie violence, and you get the Gallows Man. So if you can, please back this on Kickstarter now. It helps this project. It'll help keep it going. Not to spoil anything, it's not guaranteed yet or anything. There's always potential for a sequel miniseries. So just want to say that.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate you stopping in today. Sorry, I'm having a really bad day today, so I'm sorry if I like tripped up on
No,
what I'm gonna say.
you're all
I
good,
know
man.
I always apologize, but it's super embarrassing. My brain still isn't working right from a couple of weeks ago, so I'm still struggling with that. But you know, it's a lot of fun coming on here still and doing these shows and getting my mind.
I had a
off
great
this shit.
time. Thank you, man.
And you know, Saturday show was a lot of fun. So if you guys missed that, please definitely go check that out. And guys, please go check out this comic. He just like added me. I added him, you started following me on Instagram and you just like shot me a message, and I was like, sure, and I was like, you know, I haven't done the Saturday show in a long time. Let's do a Saturday show. And I was like, hey Brandon, you want to come in on Saturday too? And so we had a really good time. It was a really fun show. Yeah. I needed that Saturday because I've been kind of down and out and just I haven't been wanting to do the shows just because of me stuttering and tripping over what I'm trying to say, and I just like stopped. Like the sponsor thing today. Holy hell, that was a nightmare. But I got through it. That's all that mattered. We pushed through, we prevailed, we had fun, we talked about some inspirations, what got you into comics, and we talked about the Gallows Man. We even did a screenplay of Gallows Man. Like we did voices, people. So, you know, just for that alone, you should go back Brandon's Kickstarter and see the real thing. And then imagine our cruel and torturous voices penetrating your ears as you read the book. But I'm going to kick you back to the back room. If you want to hang out there for a few minutes, I'll be back to say goodbyes. But I'm going to say goodbye to everybody that's on the show, so I appreciate you being on, man.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll see you in a bit.
See you, man. All
right. So, everyone, thanks so much for coming and hanging out tonight. I apologize for the trip ups. Yeah, we're getting back to normal, but we're not quite there yet. So, guys, super excited for this project. It looks like a lot of fun. I haven't like laughed like I did at some of the corny jokes in a long time. I haven't laughed at myself in a long time when I threw in that mustard comment and I had to mute my mic because I almost passed out from choking to death. But, you know, it's all good. So, you know, I brought back the corny jokes because, you know, at one time they were fun. So please check out this project. If you can't back a tier, at least back it for $1 so your friends can see it. Make an original post. Say, hey, you know, I seen this guy live on Russ Explode Studios. He did a screenplay read. You know, share the video with them. Throw the link to the video in the post. Throw the link to the Kickstarter in the post. Let other people see it, you know. One of the hardest things for us as creators is getting our works out there and getting eyes on them. So please, you know, if you can back it, if you can back it for $1, throw $1 at it. Nobody's ever going to be like, I can't believe you backed it for $1. Because you know what? It's better than not backing it. And for that $1, tons of people get emails saying, hey, this project exists. Go look at it. And you know what? Shares are worth their weight in gold. So we appreciate all the shares. We appreciate all you guys supporting the indie creators. We couldn't do this stuff without you. I'm going to possibly be adding some really, like add like 100 more reallys on there. I'm not just going to sit here and say really. Rare stuff onto the CatCat and Piggygirl campaign here before too long. I got some really cool stuff on the way that I bought to throw up on here. And I might just dig into my vault and throw some stuff up on there. So we only got 8 days left as of tonight for CatCat and Piggygirl. Guys, please keep getting those shares out there. I really want to get this to 5K. And just load the kids with comic books. I want there to be so many they each have to take 2, just so they have one to put up and one that they can read 1,000 times, and then they have to get the one they put up to read it some more because it's that great of a story. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of love and there's a lot of things in there. So guys, please keep sharing it out. We got 1 week left of you being tortured by me sharing tons of posts, and if you don't back it, you're a kid hater. So anyway. I digress. Everyone, thanks so much for being here. go check out the Gallows Man. Because if you don't back CatCat and Piggygirl, he's going to visit you. Oh, wait, I got that mixed up. Go check out the Gallows Man, because it's a great story. It's a lot of fun, and you need to back it. So please check it out. Please share it out. As always, this is Russ Explode Studios with projects that'll blow your mind. You guys have a great night, and I will see you on Thursday from Pop XP with Niall Scala, because we're going to be blowing it up. Bye.